بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمد ونصلي على رسول الكريم أما بعد. While the Hujjaj are busy with their amal, we should be aware of the greatness of these days, the greatness and the magnanimity of these nights. There are few amal which a person can do at home which will maximize his time. وَمَنْ خَرَجَ مِنْ بَيْتِهِ مُطَهِّرًا كَأَجْرِ الْحَاجِ. A person makes wudu at home, then goes to the masjid. Mashallah, everybody's got tawfiq to do that now. You get the reward of a complete Hajj. Man sallal ghada fi jama'atin. Whoever reads Salatul Ishraq, means after sunrise. If a person reads Salat with Jama'at, waits in the spot, and then when the time of Ishraq sets in, which is about 15 minutes after sunrise, كَأَجْرِ Hajjatin wa Umratin, he'll get the reward of a complete Hajj and Umrah, tam. Nabi alayhi salam said. Then, Man sabbaha Allah bil ghadati wa mi'a bil ashi, morning and evening read 100 times Subhanallah, kana kaman hajja mi'ata hajjin. It's as if he has completed 100 Hajj. A Sahabi came to Nabi alayhi salam, Inni ashtahil jihad, I want to strive in the path of Allah, wa la aqdir, I don't have the capacity. Nabi alayhi salam asked, are your parents alive? He said, yes, my mother. Qabilillah fi birriha. Then make sure you look after your mother and spend time in her service. فَإِذَا فَعَلْتَ ذَلِكَ فَأَنْتَ حَاجٌ وَمُؤْتَمِرٌ وَمُجَاهِدٌ. You'll get the reward of a Hajj, a Umrah, and a person who's making jihad. Then man ghada ila al-masjid la yuridu illa ay yata'allama khayran. Just to go to the masjid with the intention of learning deen or teaching, kana lahu ka'ajri hajjin tam. He will get the reward of a complete Hajj. Ulama have explained man fatahu fi hadha al-ami al-qiyam bi Arafah. If you cannot make it to Arafah, then فَلْيَقُمْ لِلَّهِ بِحَقِّ الَّذِي عَرَفَهُ. Then you should have recognized Allah now where you are and fulfill the haqq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. مَنْ عَجْزَ عَنِ الْمَبِيدِ بِمُزْدَلِفَةٍ. If this year you cannot make it to Muzdalifah ala ta'atillah, then you should pass the night with an intention that I'm gonna obey Allah every day of my life, every breath. وَمَنْ لَمْ يُمْكِنْهُ الْقِيَامِ. If a person cannot make it to the masjid khayf and spend time there, فَلْيَقُمْ لِلَّهِ بِحَقِّ الرَّجَى وَالْخَوْفِ. Then you should be hopeful of Allah's mercy and obey Him and fear Allah's azab and stay away from sin. مَنْ لَمْ يَقْدِرْ عَلَى نَهْرِ هَدِي بِمِنَا. If you cannot make it in Mina and slaughter the animals, فَلْيَذْبَحْ هَوَاهُ هُنَا. Then when you slaughter your nafs, you've reached Mina. وَقَدْ بَلَغَ الْمِنَا. وَمَنْ لَمْ يُصَلِّ إِلَى الْبَيْتِ لِأَنَّهُ مِنْهُ بَعِيدٌ. And if you cannot get tawfiq to read in front of the Baitullah, فَلْيَقْصِدْ رَبَّ الْبَيْتِ. Then wherever you are on the earth, intend the Rabb of the Bayt, Allah. فَإِنَّهُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَى مَنْ دَعَاهُ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closer to you than your jugular vein. So if you cannot make it to the Baitullah, read every salat like you in front of the Baitullah. Ulama explained that there are 3 types of Eid. One is the Eid of Jum'ah. So Eid is for those people who want to get the grand prize. They abstain from sin, they get their forgiveness, they get protection from Jahannam, and they get the highest stages in Akhirah. So those people are eligible for Eid. The first one is the day of Jum'ah, which is repeated, which every week we got an opportunity to witness this Eid. وَاسْتَكْمَلَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ الصَّلَوَاتِ فِيهِ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made every day of the week, and the climax of our ibadat and worship from the 6 days goes to the 7th day of the day of Jum'ah. And it's a Mubarak day. Khulika Adam wa udkhila al-Jannah. Adam alayhi salam was created, he was entered into Jannah, yeah. And ulama explain, Sa'id bin Musayyib used to say that witnessing Jummah ahabbu ilayya min hajjatin nafalatin is more better to me than performing a nafal hajj. And he used to say that it is a similitude of a haji وَالتَّبْكِيرِ إِلَيْهَا يَقُومُ مَقَامَ الْهَدْ. Like how a person who goes early for Jummah, he will get the reward of slaughtering a cow or a sheep or a chicken. Likewise, a person who goes early for Jummah, his Qurbani in the day of Qurbani under Ayyam Hajj, there is a first similarity. Secondly, وَشُهُودُ الْجُمَّةِ يُوجِبُ تَكْفِيرَ الذُّنُوبِ. And a person's sins are forgiven, whoever makes it for Jummah, like a person who does a Hajj through a Mabrur, his sins are forgiven. إِلَّا سَلَمَتِ الْجُمَّةِ سَلِمَتِ الْأَيَّامِ. If your Jummah is protected, all your days are protected. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ يَوْمَ الْجُمَّةِ لِكُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ. Every Jummah Allah forgives the Muslimin. ما طلعت الشمس ولا غربت على يوم أفضل من يوم الجمعة. And the sun does not rise on any day more virtuous than the day of Jum'ah. So while we have the opportunity of the Jum'ah every week, we should capitalize. And for the Eid that happens once a year are the other two Eids, Eidul Fitr, and that is the culmination of the sacrifice which a fasting person did the entire month, and that also necessitates maghfirah, forgiveness, like a haji, and itq min an-nar, and emancipation from the fire of Jahannam. So a person on Eid day, to show the shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, does not fast. Ulama explain on the ayyam of Eid, because we are the guests of Allah, and a guest should not be starved. وَشَرَعَ لَهُمْ فِي ذَلِكَ الْإِيدَ الصَّلَاةِ وَالصَّدَقَةِ. And like how a haji has to do sadaqah and give charity, likewise we also. Ulama explain, salat is a sacrifice of ourselves, and fasting is a sacrifice of ourselves. Zakah is your wealth, and Hajj is yourself and your wealth. So Hajj is a culmination of that. But the same amal we do while we are at home as well. Then the third Eid is Eidul Nahr. Ulama explain it's amongst the greatest وَأَفْضَلُهُمَا, and the most virtuous of Eids. And that's the climax of Hajj. And the climax of Hajj is the day of Arafah and Wuquf on Arafah. Nabi alayhi salam said, Al-Hajju Arafah. Hajj is Arafah. And on the day of Arafah, Yawmul Itq min an-nar, people are freed from the fire of Jahannam. So a person who is not in Hajj, he is imitating the Haji, because he also has the opportunity to get his maghfirah and forgiveness on these ayyam. And that's why we don't cut our nails, etc., and we do the Qurbani, so that we are acting and copying the amal of the Haji. وَالصَّلَاةُ وَالنَّهْرَ الَّذِي يَجْتَمِعُ فِيهِ النَّهْرَ أَفْضَلُ. And the salat and the sacrifice on these ayyam is amongst the most virtuous of ibadat, and the Qurbani as well. And Nabi alayhi salam was also said, إِنَّ شَانِئَكَ هُوَ الْأَبْتَرُ. So, وَإِنَّ أَتَيْنَاكَ الْكَوْثَرَ فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ إِنَّ شَانِئَكَ هُوَ الْأَبْتَرُ. So salat and sacrifice. Though these are Mubarak Ayyam for those people who are eligible. The person who makes sacrifice in Ramadan is eligible for Qurbani, and he is eligible for the rewards of Eid. Likewise, the person who fasted and made sacrifice in these ayyam, he is eligible for the Qurbani, the meat, which is a fringe benefit of these days. Somebody passed by a Buzruk, and they asked them that in this city, village, Mata Eidu Ahli Hadha Dair, when will be your Eid? He said, Yawma yughfaru li ahlihi When the people of this village gets forgiveness, then it is our Eid. Means don't confine Eid to a day, confine it to a special occasion is when your maghfirah takes place. لَيْسَ الْعِيدْ لِمَنْ لَبِسَ الْجَدِيدِ. We did this previously. Eid is not wearing new clothing, but liman ta'atu tazid. Whoever increases his ta'at and obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that is Eid for him. And ulama have written, وَمَا عَيُّ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ فِي الْجَنَّةِ فَيَأْيَامُ الزِّيَارَةُ لِرَبِّهَا عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. That actually a person who has found Allah, then for him it is Eid. إِنَّ يَوْمًا جَامِعًا شَمْلِي بِهِمْ ذَاكَ عِيدٌ لَيْسَ لِعِيدٌ سِوَاهُ. That person who has found Allah, that is his Eid. And more than that, كُلُّ يَوْمٍ كَانَ لِلْمُسْلِمِينَ عِيدًا فِي الدُّنْيَا. Every day is a Eid for a believer who has found Allah. Every day is an Eid for him. Hassan rahimahullah used to say, كُلُّ يَوْمٍ لَا يُؤْسَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ فَهُوَ عِيد. Every day where you don't violate the awamir and commands of Allah, then that is your Eid. كل يوم يقطعه المؤمن في طاعة مولاه وذكره وشكره فهو له عيد. And every day a believer obeys Allah and makes dhikr and shukr, then that day is an Eid for a believer. Sufyan bin Uyayna used to say that لا ينبغي للكريم أن يجوع ضيافه. Allah who is Kareem has said that now that you found me, you my mehman and you my guest, and that is why it is forbidden to fast on these Mubarak days of Eid. Nabi alayhi salam heard a person saying, Allahumma inni as'aluka tamaman ni'mah. Ya Allah, give me the completion and the climax of your bounties. So Nabi alayhi salam said, what is the climax of the bounties of Allah? An-najatu min an-nar, savior from Jahannam, madukhulul jannah, and a person enters Jannah. So the day of Arafah is a great day. One, it is a Eid for the believers. Umar bin Khattab ibn Abbas believe that this is also a day of Eid. Nazalat fi yawmi Eidain. Those were two Eids, Yawm Jum'ah wa Yawm Arafah. Wa kilahuma bihamdillahi lana Eid. Even Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu may say that those 2 days were the days of Eid. Secondly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken qasam, shaf wal watr on this Mubarak days. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken a qasam wa shahidi wa mashhood. Shahid is the day of Arafah, mashhood is the day of Jum'ah. Number 3, afdalul ayyami yawm Arafah. The best days of amongst the days are the days of Arafah. أعظم الأيام عند الله يوم النحر. Some other riwayat, it is the days of Nahr. So these two Mubarak days, Arafah and Nahr, let us capitalize. Number 4, the riwayat of Anas bin Malik, يوم عرفة بعشر آلاف يوم. That the day of Arafah is equivalent to 10,000 days. The worship that we do on these days are equivalent to 10,000 days. Atta used to say, Man soma yawma Arafah kana lahu ka ajri alfay yawman. Whoever fasts on the day of Arafah will get the reward of 2,000 days. Next virtue, it is the day of Hajjul Akbar. Some ulama believe that this is the day of the Hajj Akbar. Another virtue, that fasting kafaratu sanatain, it get the reward and forgiveness of 2 years, a previous year and the future year. Another virtue, yawmu maghfirati dhunub wa tajawuz anha. A person's sins are forgiven, his status are elevated, wal itq min an-nar, and he gets freedom from the fire of Jahannam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes down to the heavens and he says, look at my servants, ta'u min kulli fajjin amiq. They have come from every nook and corner, yarjuna rahmati, and they are hopeful of my mercy, yet they never seen Jahannam. فَلَمْ يُرَى أَكْثَرُ أَتِيقًا مِنَ النَّارِ مِنْ يَوْمِ عَرَفَةٍ. And on the day of Arafah, no amount of souls are freed from Jahannam like on that day. أُشْهِدُكُمْ أَنِّي قَدْ غَفَرْتُ لَهُمْ. Allah tells of Malaika, I've forgiven them on this Mubarak day. إِذَا كَانَ عند غروب الشمس, and when sun sets, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turns towards His creation and He says that I've given those that have broken my awamir, I've granted them forgiveness, and those that have done good, I have given them whatever they asked for. Farqad used to say, Inna abwab as-sama tuftahu kulla laylatin thalatha marrat. The heavens open them 3 times every night on a normal time of the year. وفي ليلة الجمعة 7 مرات. And on the day of Jum'ah 7 times. وفي ليلة عرفة 9 مرات. And on Arafah 9 times. So capitalize on this day. Ibn Umar used to say that إذا كان, when it's the night of Arafah, لم يبقى أحد في قلبه مثقال ذرة من إيمان إلا غفر له. Even if you have an atom's amount of iman, on a day if you turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will forgive you. And on this day, there's no greater day where Shaytaan hates or despises than the day of Arafah, because Shaytaan sees the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descending, and he sees how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives His servants. It is said that Nabi alayhi salam made dua and he smiled, and Sahaba inquired, he said, Inna Iblis hina alima anna Allah qad ghafara li ummati. That when Iblis seen that Allah had forgiven my ummah, wastajaba du'ai, and Allah had accepted my dua, he started throwing sand on his face and he started screaming for destruction. So I smiled on seeing Shaytaan in this condition. Another virtue, يوم عرفة هذا يوم من ملك فيه سمعه وبصره ولسانه غفر له. A person who abstains from sin, then it's a sign that he wants to be forgiven from Allah. So when you make a niyat of tawbah, it's not just the word tawbah, tawbah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, and putting your fingers on your cheeks. It's actual intention, and a person makes resolute that he will abandon sin. It is said that on these days we should give more charity as well. It is said about Hakim bin Hizam, when he used to be in Arafah, he used to take 100 animals for slaughtering, وَمِئَ رَقَبَةً, and he should take with him 100 slaves, and he should free his slaves, and people, when seeing him freeing the slaves, فَيَضُجُّ النَّاسِ بِالْبُكَاءِ وَالدُّعَاءِ, people used to cry more and fall in tears, and they used to say, رَبَّنَا هَذَا عَبْدُكَ قَدْ أَعْتَقَ عَبِيدَهُ. Ya Allah, here is one servant who's freed so much of his slaves. He's given them freedom. وَنَحْنُ عَبِيدُكَ. Oh Allah, we are also your servants. If insan can free so many slaves, free us from the fire of Jahannam. Then another virtue that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Ali radiallahu anhu say, that make this dua on the day of Arafah. Allahumma a'tiq raqabati min al-nar wa awsi' li min al-rizq al-halal wasrif anni fasaqat al-jinn wal-ins. Try to make this dua on this day. A person also should not have pride. La yaghfirullah fi al-mukhtal. A person who has pride is not forgiven on this day. A person who is perpetual on guna, he also won't be forgiven. They say that a person seen that all the people have been forgiven except one person, and it was a person who was an alcoholic, and he committed ma'asiyah through his consumption of alcohol. As the poet says, Ya mayyat ma'u fil ithq min an-nar. You want freedom of Jahannam, you want maghfirah, but you are still continuing your guna. Tallahi ma nasahta nafsak. You have not advised your own self. Wala waqafu fi tariqik ghayruk. And you are treading the path which nafsaka bil ma'asi, you are committing guna. Then when Allah does not forgive you, then you say, huwa min indi anfusikum. Anna hadha, why is Allah not forgiving me? But actually you have committed the guna. You see, some pious people freed their souls from Jahannam. They used to measure their body's weight
in silver, يتصدق كل مرة بوزن نفسه فضة. They used to give that amount of silver in charity and tell Allah that, Ya Allah, please forgive us on these Mubarak days and Ayyam. A person should have khawf, fear. The dua of the Arifin should be that, oh Allah, la tarud ahl al-mawqaf min ajli. Ya Allah, don't deprive the ummah because of my gunas. So we should increase. Some people used to say, Ilahi an-nas yataqarrabuna ilayka bil-budn. Ya Allah, people have sacrificed the animals. Wa ana taqarrabu ilayka bi nafsi. I'm sacrificing myself. Thumma kharra mayitan. And they would die. Their ruh would leave them on the grief of that day. The amal for today is try to read Salatul Tasbih. Nabi alayhi salam told his uncle Ya Abbas, when you do this, Allah will forgive all your sins, beginning and last. What you did intentionally and unintentionally, small and big, sirrahu ala niyatahu, what you did openly or in the darkness of the night. And the method to do that is that we start Salat, read Thana. Before Fatiha 15 times, we read Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. Then after Surah 10 times, then in Ruku, Qawma to Sajda Jalsa, that totals 75 times, that will make 300. If you cannot do it, Nabi alayhi salam told him, then do it every day. If not every day, kullu Jum'ah, every Jum'ah. If you can't, every month. If not, then at least fi umrika marra, once in your lifetime. May Allah give us tawfiq of making amal. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.